in defense of the bitch.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's
Hey
go.
there.
Let's fucking go.
For those of you who don't know me, hi, I'm Nova, and it's one thing I love, it's a bitch. I love a bitch. I love a woman who's mean. I love a woman who's just not really here for it. And so I want to talk a little bit about the archetype of the bitch as she exists in fiction. And okay, let's get into it. What is the bitch? Obviously, bitch means, a lot of different things to a lot of different people. It's a very personal word. We all have special feelings about, what makes a bitch. But in this case, I'm actually talking about a very specific archetype that has some very specific features. And so I'm going to start laying some of those out. Obviously, the bitch is mean. She's not nice. She's often physically violent as well, not just verbally abusive, but physically violent as well. Um, she also typically is of high status. Often, if it's in a historical or fantasy setting, she'll be nobility, if not outright royalty. In modern settings, usually that'll translate to being very wealthy or in other ways powerful, socially powerful. In addition to this, particularly, she also tends to be highly linked to her family. Her power and her status is derived from her social connections from her family. And there's usually also a patriarch involved. And this will come up later as we talk about some of her relationships and how she relates to gender. And lastly, because of her status, because of her proximity to wealth and power, she tends to be very proud and independent in a way that a woman of a lower social standing probably couldn't afford to be. Because of her proximity to nobility, she gets to have a little bit of a haughtiness to her. And third, the bitch is domineering. She is a ball buster. She takes control of situations. She's usually portrayed as excessively draconian or tyrannical. She is she's domineering, right? Right. She seeks control of herself and her circumstances. She wants to be in control of the situation. She directs people in a way that is usually kind of portrayed as unfeminine. And in particular, she's domineering towards men, which makes her not just domineering, but emasculating. She is specifically usurping power from men. Where's all this coming from? What am I talking about? Where am I pulling these definitions out of? Let's talk about a prototype. Let's say what all of this is based off of. For that, I like to look to Taming of the Shrew, which is one of Shakespeare's lesser comedies. It's not as popular to produce, but it is one of my favorites. Taming of the Shrew tells the story of a wealthy man in Padua, Italy, who has two daughters, the lovely younger Bianca and the older, more difficult Catherine. Because the father declares that Bianca cannot be wed until Catherine, the older sister, is married, Bianca's suitors conspire to find a man brave enough to tame Catherine and make her a wife. And that's the premise of the play. And I will, it's a great play. Lots of things that I love about it. I'll play a little bit of a clip for you if that's all right. Is this sharing audio?
But here she comes.
Yes.
And now, Petruchio, speak.
Is the audio coming through?
It is, yeah.
Good morrow. Kate, for that's your name, I hear.
Well, have you heard? That's something hard of hearing. They call me Catherine that do talk of me.
You lie in faith, for you're called plain Kate, and bonny Kate, and sometimes Kate the Cursed, but Kate, the prettiest Kate in Christendom. Kate of Kate Hall. My super dainty Kate. For dainties are all Kates, and therefore, Kate, take this of me, Kate, of my consolation, hearing thy mildness praised in every town, thy virtue spoke of, and thy beauty sounded, yet none so deeply as to thee belongs. Myself am moved to woo thee for my wife.
Moved? In good time. Let him that moved you hither remove you hence. I knew you at the first, you were immovable.
Why, what's immovable?
A joint stool.
Thou hast hit it. Come, sit on me.
Asses! Boys are made to bear, and so are you.
Women are made to bear, and so are you.
No such jade as you with me, you mean?
Alas, good Kate, I will not burden thee, for knowing thee to be but young and light.
Too light for such a swain as you to catch, and yet as heavy as my weight should be.
Should buzz.
Well tame, and like a buzzard.
Oh, slow-winged turtle, shall a buzzard take thee?
Aye, for a turtle as he takes a buzzard.
Come, you wasp. In faith, you are too angry.
If I be waspish, best beware my sting.
My remedy is then to pluck it out.
Aye, if the fool could find it where it lies.
Who knows not where a wasp does wear his sting? In his tail.
In his tongue.
Whose tongue?
Yours, if you talk of tails, and so farewell.
What, with my tongue in your tail?
And so you can get a little bit of the sense of the kind of play it is. It's a comedy, a lot of back and forth, sort of quippy banter. Um, it's fun. It's entertaining. Very battle of the sexes type of premise. Um, and that was the scene, of course, of the suitor to Catherine attempting to woo her to, varying degrees of success. Um, Favorite text of mine. It is not produced as much these days because that is the sort of first half, and the second half is the part where things get more interesting, where it kind of answers the question of like, well, how do you tame a shrew? Um, so quick checklist: does she meet all of our criteria? Catherine, she's mean. She's high status. Her father is a wealthy man in Italy, and she's emasculating. Specifically, the things that she quips about are disparaging towards her suitors. There's a line about like if he can find it, which has a certain undertone of emasculation. It's all about bringing him down. So how to tame a shrew? How the play answers this in the second half is absolutely fucking deranged. Petruchio proceeds to humiliate Catherine at their wedding by arriving drunk and disheveled and then arguing with the priest. After they're married, Petruchio brings Catherine to heel by denying her food, clothing, and sleep until she agrees to say agree with whatever he says, such as like he says, the sun is the moon, and she forces her to agree with him, and then changes the mind and says, actually no, that's the sun, and forces her to change and say like, yes, of course, you're right. So absolutely just breaking her to agree with him no matter what he says. And finally, in the final scene, to sort of tie this all together and show her full transformation, Petruchio and the other recently married men have a wager to see whose wife is the most obedient. Catherine is the only wife to come when called and gives a final monologue to the other wives on why they ought to be obedient to their husbands. Immediately after this, she and Petruchio exit to consummate their marriage. What the fuck? Crazy, crazy thing to put in the play. Obviously, this was written in a different time period, but it's insane. People still produce this play. There's different ways to go about it, different ways to handle it, and also we still see the trappings of this character in modern day. So I'm going to add a couple additional characteristics to I think that qualify, uh, make the bitch archetype what she is, and that is she's incorrectly feminine. Though often hyper feminine in appearance, she eschews feminine behavior. This is that domineering sort of attitude, this sort of leadership. She tends to be somewhat violent, things that people do not associate with like a typical like soft femininity. She's harsh. Um, she chafes against her station in life, especially the constraints put upon her as a woman. Uh, her anger derives largely from some sort of societal pressure against her that she is resisting. Typically, it's her gender. It can be other things, though, as well. Um, and finally, she's often contrasted by a correctly feminine woman. In the case of Catherine in The Taming of the Shrew, this would be her sister Bianca, who's much fairer and softer and who all the other men desire. And you'll see this come up in a couple later examples as well. She is abjected. Abjection is the concept of something which exists at the borderline between two entities. Um, so Julie Kristeva describes abjection as like this feeling of like simultaneous revulsion and compulsion towards something that threatens the boundary of an identity, right? So you can think about this in terms of like a good example is like true crime, how a lot of women are really into true crime in this way that's sort of like a simultaneous like fascination and repulsion from it. Um, it exists in a place that is simultaneously horrific and enticing. And so, because of her incorrect gender, because of where she exists at this border of masculine and feminine, of feminine appearance and masculine demeanor, she becomes simultaneously a desire of an object of desire and an object of hatred. Uh, and lastly, the bitch is always going to be humiliated. While she's often powerful in the early to mid narrative, the bitch must ultimately be humiliated, castrated, and returned to her proper station by the end of the text, as a cautionary tale against exceeding the bounds of one's gender. So let's talk about some contemporary examples of the bitch. Classic. Cersei Lannister. Let's go down our quick checklist of traits about her. She's mean. Yeah, free space. High status. Her family is very wealthy. She is the queen of the fuck is it called?
Westeros.
Thank you. She's queen. Um, Bonus points. She's associated closely with a patriarch, her father, um, Tywin, who she seeks to a certain extent some approval from. That'll also be a common thread through this. She's emasculating. Very common refrain of the ways in which she is emasculating male characters in the series. Um, she's incorrectly feminine. Again, she's reaching beyond her station. She's striving for power that is not fit for her as a woman. Um, Often, when she's acting like as queen, and she's acting in Joffrey's place when he's like too young, and she's like acting as like queen regent. So again, stepping beyond what are considered the bounds of her gender. Um, Bonus points, she has a foil as well in Marjorie, who is also, interestingly enough, kind of reaching beyond her place of power, but doing so in this more soft and couched feminine way. And that's painted more positively. Um, Lastly, she's objected. Go to any fucking forum, listen to men talk about how they view Cersei Lannister. They simultaneously hate her and also want to fuck her. Easy peasy. Uh, and of course, she is humiliated. Her downfall is not just about, defeating her. It's not just about, killing her. There is a necessary component that is about humiliating her. And this humiliation, as you'll see in a lot of these examples, often very specifically has to do with stripping them of clothing, of physical beauty. Of It's a very physical, appearance oriented humiliation, which I think ties back to the fact that the bitch exists as the hyper feminine, the masculine traits, tearing down her access to that femininity and pulling her back down. Another example would be Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender. She's mean. She's very cold. She's very calculated. She's very harsh. Free space. High status. She is the Fire Lord's daughter, and like third in line to the throne. Bonus points. Patriarch. She is seeking specifically the approval of her father, the Fire Lord. She is emasculating. To this, I like to point to the scene of her with the Dai Li, the speech that she gives to Long Feng, saying like you were never even a player. Um, it's a very there's something about the undertone of it of this woman, and specifically of like this like 14-year-old girl saying this to this grown man and forcing him to kneel to her girl gang, right? There's something that is inherently emasculating about the undertone of this scene. Um, Incorrectly feminine. This one I kind of put like a half check on. Avatar: The Last Airbender exists in a kind of funky space where it is simultaneously like there is sexism, but there's also not sexism. Like the first episode is Katara, getting mad at Sokka about him saying like, "Oh, women, should do such and such." And then there's some later stuff about her at the end of her arc at the first season where she's told that female waterbenders can only be healers, but then it like never comes up again. Like there's no sexism anywhere except for in the water tribe as it pertains to Katara. Doesn't ever come up anywhere else. So this one is kind of like it's a little wibbly wobbly. I think you see a little bit of it. There's a flashback where Iroh is coming back from the war. He gives Zuko a knife and he gives Azula a doll, and she's very dissatisfied with the doll. You can see it. And she's it later is playing with his knife. She would prefer to have his knife. So there's some incorrect gender going on there. Um, Bonus points foil. I would say her foil is Katara in this, who again has this sort of more, well, she's also like a fighter, also has this more nurturing, motherly sort of demeanor to her. Abjected. This one I don't think actually applies here. It's a kid's show. I don't really want to know if people want to fuck Azula. I'm just not going to look into that. Humiliated. Absolutely. Her downfall, again, is not just about being defeated. She has to have a descent into madness. And again, one which highly revolves around her physical appearance. Zuko says, I can see her. She looks off. Something's wrong. I can see it in her dishevelment. And last example that I'll go through from the Penguin, Sophia Gigante. I just watched the show. I love her so much.
It was
She's
fucking
mean.
incredible.
So good. She's mean. She's high status. Her father is the head of the mafia. She's the sort of heiress to this, which is, again, bonus points, patriarch. She is emasculating. She's specifically seeking to usurp this power of this mafia from these men who it's like not exactly explicitly stated. I don't think that she can't have it because she's a woman, but there's a slight undertone. There's a scene in the flashback with her father where she's like, are they gonna he says that I want to name you heir, and she's like, are they gonna push back against that, with an undertone of like, because I'm a woman, and he says, no, they know you're mine. So there's the sense of that there's some gender going on at play, that she would be contested in her power because she's a woman, and that the men that she takes power from therefore feel emasculated as a result. So that's kind of those two tied in together. Abjected. Oh yeah. Just the entire fucking scene. There's like her psychiatrist boy toy, I feel like solely exists to prove that she is like fuckable and scary. And it's a fascinating like character to just exist solely for that purpose. So it definitely fits into this space of being simultaneously desirable and horrific. Um, and finally, of course, she is humiliated at the end of the show. Spoilers. While instead of just killing her, disposing of her, taking over her territories, the Penguin sends her back to Arkham Asylum, which she just escaped, which we learned had these horrific conditions that shaped her into this person that she is, that made her the bitch, right? And no foil for her. She actually have a good foil, but that's fine.
She was an
So-
amazing character.
And I love her so much.
Mhm, mhm.
So, some final thoughts. Ultimately, I think the bitch satisfies a cultural appetite for seeing women humiliated. Because of her nonconformity, the bitch becomes an acceptable and cathartic target for gendered violence. It's not only okay to humiliate her because she's a bitch, but it's actually morally right. The narrative of the bitch is about humiliating proud women, women who exceed the bounds of their prescribed role, who dare to reach for power for themselves. It's about restoring the natural order by castrating these powerful women and returning them to their proper place. None of this is to say that female villains can never be punished. Obviously, most modern interpretations of the bitch are not overtly misogynistic in the way that the Taming of the Shrew is. These women are typically, villains who commit heinous crimes in pursuit of their goals. And while there may be nods to the mistreatment that motivates their behavior, the protagonists are not usually explicitly looking to put them in their place in the same way that the original text does. But knowing the deeply misogynistic origins of this archetype, it becomes uncomfortable to watch the eagerness and the vitriol with which many people, men and women alike, line up to hate these women and say how they deserve their fates. These women don't exist in isolation. These are characters that were created by someone with the intention of telling a story about a woman exceeding the bounds of her gender and being brought to heel in a way that elicits feelings of rightness and justice in the viewer. Because emasculating a man is a villainous act, but emasculating a woman, that's just justice. And final thoughts. Good for her. She did nothing wrong. They hate to see a girl walking.
Yes! Yes!
Hell yeah.
And
Hell
you're right.
yes.
Hell yes.
Slay.
Nova,
was
I posted in
fantastic.
the chat. I posted in the chat a show that was